YouTubers, what we're going to do today is we're going to rhinestone some hats. I think this is a great beginner project because we're just applying rhinestones over a design that's already there. So we don't have to come up with the design and apply and do all the things. So when I was prepping for this video, I had a bit of a teachable moment. So we're going to jump right into it. I had done this hat. It had embroidered flames on it. So you can see they're embroidered. And this is a rhinestone mix called Fireball. So it's different shades of red and orange to kind of give it a really cool flamey look here. These are hats from, they're called the Speedway Classic. It's when the Braves played, I think the Reds maybe, at Bristol. So they're like NASCAR themed hats. Now, I was going to do this one, the same mix, on this hat. This is horizontal, because it's obviously the brill. This is on a vertical surface. I don't know if you can tell, but they don't look anything alike. This is also combined with the fact this is going to be next to a white and this is on a dark. Anywho, so this is vertical, this is horizontal, and it looks bad. So this is giving a lot more orange, shiny vibes, less dimensional flames. So before this becomes set in stone, we're going to peel these guys off. So don't be afraid to change your mind. If it doesn't work, and just pop off your rhinestones. Hello, I am back with our hat we are going to rhinestone today. This is another Speedway Classic hat, another NASCAR inspired hat. I really liked these flamed hats. I got this one and the other one that I showed you earlier. I got these at Christmas time on clearance, either from Fanatics or MLB.com. I'm not entirely sure, I don't remember. Now, these were like one-off for the game. So I don't know if how available they are anymore. You might be able to find them on eBay, but any hat will work. Also, this one was embroidered, and I'm pretty sure this is sublimation on this foam part. So the same technique will work for both of them. For this, we're just going to rhinestone the top front of the cap. And then obviously for this one, I just rhinestoned the brim. So just make sure you have one with a good design on it that you want to rhinestone. Do not go with anything too little, something big and chunky. Now also for this one, since we're not rhinestoning the brim, I did want to point out for this one, I rhinestoned up to the brim. I did not rhinestone around it because every time I did, it just kind of looked like zits, if I'm honest. It was just really pokey. So keep that in mind when you're rhinestoning. Now, I just did the designs here. If you want to rhinestone the whole thing, you would just keep doing the same thing. You pick out your darker stone and keep going. Do keep in mind that we are going to be using glass stones, so that will make this very heavy, and I would imagine, well, not very heavy, it will make it heavier than it would be otherwise. It would also, I would imagine, make it very hot. So do keep that in mind where you're going to rhinestone this. If you're going to wear it in somewhere cold in the winter, maybe you do want to rhinestone it all. But if it's in the summer, probably not. Also, I'm using glass stones with this because I just think they're so sparkly and pretty. Resin rhinestones would work well too. I don't know if I would do this on like the brim where you would touch it a lot. The glass would probably hold up better. But if they're just going to be pretty for the summer, resin would do well for this too. So now for this hat here, I wanted, and what I showed you originally was I wanted this red section because it's so big to be like sparkly and pretty. And I'll show you some up close pictures now. When I tried to do this one, like I was showing you in the beginning, because it was vertical, it was just giving off orange. So I ended up going with these stones, which are, they're called Mirage Siam Mix. And what they are is they're regular Siam rhinestones, but they just have a little coating on them to make them a little extra shiny, so that they're a little more sparkly. Since they're such the big part of our hat, I wanted them to be a little sparkly, and I liked these because sparkle on red reads pink very quickly, and this actually reads a little bit more orange, which is fine because our flame reads a little bit more orange. And then these are in the foam plate. That's what I like to do when I'm scattering a big section, so I can go pick out my stones that I want to. And then so I struggled with these colors, to be honest. I can match this. I have some Montana blue stones, which is what this color is. But when you put the dark stones on the dark color, they honestly disappear. They're not sparkly. They don't pick up any color. They just honestly disappear. So we did, this is called Sapphire. It is just a scotch lighter than this blue color here. And what I did is I ordered, I don't know if you can see them right here. I ordered the multiple size pack. This is actually from when I did the helmet last summer, but it gave me all the different sizes. So I think we're going to use, I don't have the tiniest one, so probably 3, 4, 5, and 6 is what I've put out here. I don't know if you can see them right there. Yeah. So we're going to do that to fill in our flame outline here. Now it does vary in width a bit, so that's why I picked out several of the sizes here. But these are from Amazon, and I will leave a link and supply list below. And then I struggled with this because I picked out every version of white rhinestone that I have in my collection, trying to find the right thing. White rhinestones are the bane of my existence because they either throw off absolutely no color, like the white on this hat. Like it's not really sparkly. Like it's there, but it's not really sparkly, not like this is. And so it either does that or it'll pick up a bunch of colors. So it'll pick up all of the tones of the orange, and then all of a sudden your white rhinestones are looking orangey white. So I ended up going with just a regular crystal rhinestone, and I ordered these today, also from Amazon. So we did this is a 3, 4, and a 6, and we're gonna put that in our little gap between our orange and our blue. Now, your other option is that you could have ignored it and just ran this red right up to the blue. You would have been able to see it, or you could have just made the blue really fat. That would have worked too, and ignored it. Because I can tell you, by the time I get done with this little tiny section, I'm gonna hate life. But I don't know, I think you gotta go with it, right? All right, so we are gonna go with Liquid Fusion. I like this for fabrics more than the Super Tight that I like to use as well too. But this is the one I really like for this. As you can see in that first little clip, like they were on there already when I picked them off, and they were only on there for maybe an hour or so. So that is why we're using Liquid Fusion. I really like this one. And then I'm going to use a syringe, and these are gauge 15 tips. Now, you can use the bottles. The problem with them, to me, is that this is a really narrow tip, and trying to force Liquid Fusion, which is a thicker glue, out of it is not fun after a bit. So we're going to put some glue into the syringe. Their syringe will then be a one-time use thing, unless anybody in the comments can tell me how to clean them out and reuse them. As far as I know, they're a one-time use thing. When you put the glue in there, then it dries and you can't get it out. So don't put a bunch of glue in there and have it all dry up in there. So try to space it in your however long you have to work all together. I like the good old wax pencil, and then you can just use a regular pencil sharpener to sharpen them. That is what I like to use to pick out my stones. All right, so we're gonna put our glue into our syringe here. Now you can buy syringes and the tips off of Amazon. I was kind of surprised when I realized you could just buy syringes. I don't know why I thought they'd be more difficult to get, but Amazon, and then you can buy different sizes of these. So I have a couple different sizes for different glues. So if you end up with a liquidier glue, you can have a thinner needle and a fatter one for fat glues. So you just screw it in here. And then I just like to put my needle in there and stick it in glue here. Now you're probably going to end up with it kind of piddling a bit. So you have to pull it back, or else your glue will just kind of piddle out at the end. And then the good old baby wipes. I had to put the baby wipes at the end to get off any extra glue. All right. Know that the glue is going to soak into the fabric very quickly. So work in very little sections. Also know that on this hat, this polyester hat, you can see where my glue is, where it dried here. It's a bit darker. Now, honestly, you're not going to notice like from somebody wearing a hat far away, but up close you can kind of see. So don't go putting it all over this hat because you will be able to see it. It will leave a mark. I'm going to move this little string back up here. Anyway, so what I like to do is squish a little bit out here and then use the tip of the the tip of the needle here to squish it all out. How quick it soaks into the fabric. Now, this section where my little skinny sections here, you need to do them all at the same time so that you can move your stones around a bit. I did this first and then came back in with the right rhinestones, and you see how it doesn't, there's a gap here. It doesn't look good. You can see how spaced out it is here, and they look like they're supposed to be there. This doesn't. So I would highly recommend, and see I got some piddle going over here too. They need to be done all at the same time together so that you can move everything around and make it look intentional, as opposed to, that was a little bit more glue than I wanted to, as opposed to, a mistake. You can see how much more intentional this line looks than this one does down here. So, and you've got to move the hat, whatever fabric this is, really soaks up the glue really quickly. So, and then I don't know if you saw me or if I mentioned it, you can pull back the syringe so that you're not just piddling glue out, because you'll just continue to piddle glue out because there's an air pocket in here that's forcing the glue out. So, we'll continue. I've got to put some more stones out. And then I think we'll continue over here and then fill back in. So what I did is I glued up to the edge of this A. So this A is embroidered, and then it's got a white embroidered edge around it. And then I spaced out my rhinestones so that they look intentional up to my white outline here. And then I did the same with the little white ones. And then my glue dried here. I was a little ambitious there. And so that way it looks intentional. As long as you looks intentional, you can get away with just about anything in crafting there. Also, as always with these videos and my scatters, I'm a big fan of, so this over here is dry as can be. So you can work from here as you let this dry so that you're not putting your fingers back in your work and moving everything around. Also, with as fast as the glue is drying on this material, I would definitely go back, especially down here near here, to make sure everything is stuck, or see if you need another coat of glue on here. All right, so we got this little section here. So I'm gonna go do this little section and probably this section, and then we'll come back and fill in all of our red here. All right, so I've got all of this done. So I think while it dries, I'm gonna come up here and do this. so we got this little pokey part done here. Realistically, I probably should have dry fit these first before I just kind of went in with glue and winged it here, because it's a pokey part and I'm trying to make a pokey part out of little bitty circles. And so it's gonna have some issues because of the nature of circles and points. So I did my best. I don't have any small, these are the smallest red stones I have. So I there's a bit of a tip you can see here. Now, realistically, nobody's gonna see it. It bothers me right now because I'm this close to it. But realistically, nobody's gonna see that. So we're just gonna let it go and embrace the gap. So now I'm going to fill this in. This is a scatter. So what I, scatter and embrace the gaps basically is what we do here. And try to make sure, especially the really honking big stones here in the mix, these guys, I just try to make sure that they're evenly kind of spaced out. And then I try to keep them away from these teeny tiny stones, because they look so out of proportion next to each other with a really honking huge stone. A really honking huge stone next to those teeny tiny stones. So I do try to keep them apart from each other. But other than that, I just kind of try to keep them mixed in. Now you're going to have to understand that you're going to have gaps, and that's okay. Especially because our stones and our hat match pretty well. Alrighty, so I got this side all done. You see it. And so we just got this side to finish up. Now something I did want to point out is the little blue line on here gets thicker in some spots and then thins out again. When you're doing this, you need at least, if you're going to change stone sizes, you need at least 2, preferably 3 or more, because if you just do 1, it looks like you messed up and you just put a fat stone in there by accident. So like, for example, this little bit right here, I really wish I had done these 2, because this one's just a little bit bigger and it kind of stands out. Remember, in rhinestoning, your eye is going to go to what is different. So see, this is all scattered and all the same, whereas this, it would have been better if it had been all the same size, and then this one was 2 this size again instead of bigger, because it sticks out. It doesn't match the rest of the size of these stones. So it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things, but it annoys me. So, and then I'm not going all the way to the bottom. I've got a string here that sits on the bottom here, so you're not going to see it, so I'm not going to worry about it. But I'm just going to keep going. Blue stones, white stones, our blue stones, clear stones, and then our red. All right, so I got this section done. See all those little stones in there? Oh my gosh. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do this section and then I come across it this way. And then we can meet in the middle here somewhere. Alrighty, there is our hat all up close and done. Now I did leave the A empty on this one because this is busy and so is all of the little bitty stones. So I left this empty as contrast to our busy sparkle here. I adore this one. The little bitty rhinestones is normally not my jam, but I really think they look so cool here. And then this was our mix that we did. This will be a short, that'll be up on the channel at some point. Now I think this is a great beginner project because you're basically only rhinestoning where the design already is. The design has been laid out. You already like the design since you bought the hat. You're not having to do all of the work, and you're also just color matching what's already there. You're not having to come up with the whole entire color scheme, then try to match it, and then do all the things. So I like this. I also think this would be a great project for schools. So like your local like football or soccer or local rec league, whatever, you could take their hats with their logos on them and then rhinestone them to add a little pizzazz to your hat. So if you have any questions, please let me know down in the comments below. I hope to be back with another video doing something soon. Thanks so much for watching.